And then local control. So is any technique used to minimize experimental error? So although you want to measure experimental error, but we want to minimize that. Okay, we want to minimize the experimental error so that we can focus only on the differences or the discrepancies among the treatment levels or among groups. Okay, makes the design efficient by making the test more sensitive and powerful. Powerful in a sense that we're able to compare or to detect any differences if that differences really exist. Okay, so common techniques of local control. Number one, use of most appropriate statistical design. So you have to know those design structures. Use of proper shape and size. Okay. Then use of concomitant variable. So this will help you. Okay. Although this is not necessary in your analysis, but this you can try to recognize them and control them. And then we have this grouping, blocking, or balancing. So these are common ways or techniques to have this local control or error control. So what are these grouping, blocking, and balancing? So grouping is placing the homogeneous experimental units into groups and comparing the treatments in each group. Okay, as you can imagine, we try to have these experimental units, we group the experimental units of the same characteristics or of the same condition. Okay, so that's grouping. Then blocking, grouping experimental units into blocks such that the units within a block are relatively homogeneous. So we try to make sure that in a certain block, all the units or experimental units inside there are of the same condition or homogeneous. And then we also have this balancing, assignment of treatments to an experimental units to achieve balanced configuration. So as much as possible to increase the power of the test, we want our design or experiment to be balanced. Meaning, if we have this treatment 1 applied to 4 experimental units, then we also have this treatment 2 applied to another 4 experimental units. So 4, 4. So that's balanced. But sometimes in our experiment, it's very difficult to acquire or it's expensive, Yung isang level, expensive siya, so we cannot afford to have this same number of experimental units. So, pwede ko konti na lang experimental units for that expensive level. Okay. But it's still, you can still analyze kahit unbalanced. Now, to summarize, what are the principles that we need to know or we need to, in the performance of experimental design or experiment? We have, what's that? Randomization, replication, and local control.